Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of GameGuru MAX live broadcast number 83, and I apologise for the short technical delay. Got all kinds of crazy things popping up on my screen, but hopefully you can hear me and you can see what I'm broadcasting, and I just want to make sure that at least one person can hear. Preben, thank you very much. You can hear me, great. So let's crack on. So what do I have to show you today? Well, I'm going to show you some AI. That's what I've particularly been working on. And so if I can share my screen, software I should say, you'll actually see the welcome screen. And we're in the process now of adding demos. So the demo games section here, we're starting to populate these. So in the next couple of weeks, expect a lot of demos to appear. Little demos, medium-sized demos, just to show you different techniques. Different functionality within the software. But the thing I want to show you today is this. It's just a sample. It's certainly not finished, but I'll just get it started so you can get an idea of the kind of things you'll get to see in the demo levels. But particularly I've chosen this because it's a nice looking scene, and within that scene I've created some AI moments so you can sort of visualize what it is I'm waffling on about. As always, if you're lucky enough to join us live, please do ask your questions. Pop a question mark at the end so I can skim through quickly towards the end and I can answer some questions live, and the ones I don't get to I will post in the GameGuru forums along with a recording of this broadcast. So I'm going to press test game, and what I'd like to demonstrate today mainly, in fact entirely, is the soldier AI improvements. You know, this is an iterative process gameplay AI, and I don't think we'll ever stop, but you will see a sort of continuing cadence of AI work and improvements and additions and changes, and so this is the latest version of that. So the first thing I'd like to introduce you to is the new cone of sight. So I've just switched on some debug layers, which shows me where all the nav mesh is within the world. I'm going to press C, which is crouch or creep mode. As I get close to this character, the character's not alerted to my presence. So, and you can see instead of that red cone that wasn't really compatible with lots of nav mesh rendering, you've now got this nice clean wireframe of the cone of sight for this character, so you can see the character's looking in that direction, and there's the cone of sight. So that's, I'll just switch that off because it doesn't look as good with all that rendering, and then maybe I can do this. Good. So I want to introduce you some new stuff that's been added, not just improvements, but actual new stuff. You've obviously seen the sneak, but why was I sneaking? I mean, the cone of sight wasn't looking at me. It's because we have now added the ability to respond to sounds. So we now have a soundscape system, say that 3 times fast, which allows enemies to hear you as well as see you. So I'm going to get started by engaging these guys. Just one thing I want to demonstrate is another thing which I've added, which is sound variances. So you may give your characters things to say, but there's now an internal system where instead of just saying the same thing over and over, it can choose from a variety of different speeches. So you probably heard that sort of as they heard and saw and recognized in the attack. Now this next one will be different.
You're not allowed here.
So hear that, you're not allowed here. And then if we shoot the floor, again, they'll respond to the sound. The reason they're not all attacking me is I've not connected them up as a group, and I've made sure that we're all facing away from me with extremely short visual ranges. So I'm just going to get the attention of this soldier. And there you go. So the more characters that you drop down, then the more sound variations that you'll get. Each character pre-selects the sounds that they're going to use, and then they use that throughout the game level. So the more different, I mean, it could be the same character, but they'll say different things, and that makes the combat more believable, as they're not just saying the same thing over and over again. Now, just to set the stage, behind that wall over there is a character, and I've set them to look away from me. And just to show you the difference between creep, which is this, and walk and run, I'll be able to creep right up to here. Character's facing away, so I'm perfectly acceptable. Now, you obviously saw back there with the soldier when I shot my weapon, turned around and engaged. But actually, if I just run towards here, my footfall sound effects generate sound events in the AI, and that will also alert characters. So I'm going to run and stop just in that clearing.
Hey, you.
There you go. So even though it couldn't see me, she could hear the footfalls, and of course made good use of that, but I have a better weapon. That is when I've got... Okay, switch to auto. There you go. And I'll have that shotgun, please. Oh, just for the sake of it. Okay, so I'll reload there. And again, it's walk and it's run and it's crouch, and they all emit different levels of sounds. There's one thing that was actually went onto the issues board, which is what if, you know, I'm shooting a gun here, like that, but what if it was like kind of a knife or some other kind of weapon, or a gun with a silencer? Would you get the same sound event? And that was a really good point, one we hadn't considered up until today. So we'll be looking at that to see if there's a nice, elegant way in which we can have different weapons emit different volumes of sound, which of course then fits in nicely with the rest of the sound detection system. And around here as well, we have our lovely zombie, which is what I'm working on next. So there's a few little tweaks to soldiers. There you go. But now this afternoon I'm working on I think there's 7 zombie AI issues reported. And so I'll be working on those. One that I was going to show, I was going to add it to the end of this broadcast, but then I had a look at it and I thought, no, I've treated you to some wonderful visual eye candy with this lovely scene and this mood and characters and sounds. And then to top it off, I show you an almost blank level with just 2 zombies fighting it out. There was an issues report called Zombies Social Distancing, really funny, because they stood so far away from each other they couldn't actually hurt each other. One zombie being an ally, one zombie being an enemy. Well, I just finished that now, so zombies get up close and personal if they hate each other and basically slap each other around, and actually timed it so that the moment that the hand strikes the other zombie reacts. And it's really funny, really cool. I've made a little video of it. I might put that out later on this week. But generally, by the time I finish this week, in the Friday build, you'll also see improvements to the zombie AI. Anything that you may have reported in the issues board, I'll be looking at that and taking care of it. So that's what I wanted to show. It looks like we have some good time for questions. The bigger question is, can I drag this chat window over without things going horribly wrong? Let's give it a go. One of the problems and the reason for the delay is when I logged onto the OBS software with the Restream plugin, and there's lots of windows in the Restream, they all logged out. So I had to log into all of them before I could even start, which of course gobbled up all my prep time. So I'm looking for some questions. I'll answer as many as I can in the time I have, and as I said, the rest I'll be happy to answer in text form in the GameGuru forums. So just so you know, if you watched broadcasts from the past, this is effectively the OBS Restream multiple chat. So everyone is on YouTube, or it could be Twitch, and YouTube and Facebook live broadcast. Anyone who makes a comment, it'll actually show up in this communal chat window. So you don't have to use YouTube anymore. You can now use your favorite social platform to watch this broadcast and ask your questions. To make sure I'm not going to skip one. Don't want anyone to be angry with me. Okay, it looks like the first question is from Zargo33. Sorry, I started again. Will there be windows that can be broken? Like an FPS creator where you could shoot glass and it would disappear after 2D shatter animation, perhaps in GG with more advanced break, Luke question. Not for the merch early access. It certainly can be done if you know how to do 3D modeling and sound effect management and scripting. Sure, all the stuff's in there. But out of the box stuff, where we provide the windows and you just shoot at them, not for the merch one. But that, I think, is inevitable that we're going to be adding stuff like that. We want as assets not just to look good, but have a functional element to them. So if you drop in a door, the door will open. If you drop in a character, the character behaves the way that you want that character to behave. And I think they're the same with things like glass windows, where you would expect them to shatter. Okay, another question. This is from KC Productions. The hand and the weapons are still the same thing as GG Classic. Will you make new and enhanced one for GameGuru MAX? There are actually subtle differences between the ones from GG Classic and GameGuru MAX. The moment the weapons and the hands are all part of the same system. So at least we've kept the hands and the gloves consistent across all of the different weapons you can choose with GameGuru MAX. But the good news is we are looking at an improved hand, hood and weapon system, which separates out the hands from the weapons. For the merch early access version, you're pretty much going to get the weapons and the hands that you see now. But we are working on that improved system where you can choose the gender of the hands, the ethnicity of the skin, whether you're wearing gloves or whether they've got tattoos. And the hands have lots of different animations to hold different kinds of things. And of course, down the road, it also lends itself to a more believable VR experience where you want to see your hands rather than seeing a representation of the VR controller. So we are working on it. It's just not going to be in the merch version. It will be later on in the year when we get it just right. Okay, another question. This is from John Hempstead. Who is working on a game here? Well, I guess I am. In fact, one of the demos that's going to be in this Friday's build is called Switch Escape. I think I demonstrated it last week. Yeah, I think I did. And there's been some further improvements to that. And now it's been wrapped up in a nice little game project with a little intro. And so you'll be able to play with that this Friday as an official demo. So I made a game. There's also lots of games that were recently submitted from our competition, and we've been playing through those. Those are really good. Some of those will also make it into the official demo lineup for GameGuru MAX. But yeah, I'll let other people in the chat to answer that question if you do want to. Okay, next question. Looking for question marks, really. Just burning through. Here's another one from Zorgo33. Will the structure editor be ever improved at all? And will it be possible to have custom textures with normals, metals for the creations in it? And oops, I might be asking too much too early XD. The structure editor will remain in its current form, accessible through the developer mode section. We have no plans to make radical improvements to that system. We've kept it there for legacy support for people who still use it or have used it in the past, and the levels have some element of structure that they want to use. We are going to have a bit of a rethink about how we're going to bring the functionality, the idea of structure editing into GameGuru MAX. So we don't really have all the answers on that side, but certainly we're not getting rid of the structure editor. It's still there if you want to use it, but we're not going to invest a lot of time adding bits to it. We're going to sort of reimagine how it could be even better. And of course, as part of that, yes, the ability to bring in your own textures and perhaps even bits of model in order to expand the possibilities of what you create in terms of an structure. And another question from KC Productions. It's basically rapid fire this. Will there be a volumetric fire and smokes as the existing ones are very ugly? If not, will there be a way to import ours? Yeah, we support the particle editor exports. So if you don't like the particles that we've created, you can go into the particle editor and select your own images, create your own particles, then import those particles and then drop those as particle emitters into your level, and you will have less ugly particles, fires, smokes, plasmas, sparks, whatever it is that you might want. So if you want to create your own stuff, it's all there ready for you to do that. Okay, looking for another question mark. I don't see any. Oh, here was one. This is from Peter Vladjevich. Anyone knows if scripting will be possible with GameGuru MAX? Let me think. I think the answer to that one is yes. We allow something called Lua scripting, which you can do if you want, but the basic thrust of GameGuru MAX is you don't need to script in order to create a convincing modern game. But we have left that door wide open if you are interested or you're excited about scripting and you want to create your own game mechanics. In fact, we build all of our mechanics on the Lua scripting system, and it's not hidden. You can go into any of our scripts and see how we've done the mechanics, and if you want to add to it or create your own, you can do that. It's all there ready for you to do. Okay, here's a question from Urgent Arts. 3 question marks. Are there plans to offer App Game Kit's particle editor as a standalone product and not just DLC to App Game Kit Studio? Yeah, the plans aren't firm on that one yet. What we have done, we've made sure that the particle editor has a export to GameGuru MAX option in it. It detects the existence of GameGuru MAX and then it can export directly to GameGuru MAX's area. So, if you have the particle editor, you have that. Whether you get the particle editor as a standalone purchase, I don't see any reason why we can't do that. That's not rocket science. But please let me know if that's something you're interested in, because I get the point. It's like, I don't want to buy App Game Kit just to get the particle editor. Can't I just buy the particle editor on its own? And that's a fair question. So yeah, let us know if you're interested in that, and it's something that we can certainly sort out for you. Here's a question from Synchro62. Can you put some melee weapons over from Classic? Just a crowbar or a lead pipe? It needn't show hands. If you mean can you do it, then for the most part, yes. We haven't messed about too much with the weapon system. And I'd say your mileage will vary. So certainly try it out. Grab some assets from the GameCore folder for the classic weapons. I think the melee weapons pack has a huge amount of melee weapons. So check that out, drag them across. I think they work. I've seen a couple of levels already where I have seen lead pipes and cricket bats from that DLC. So I think it will work. Down the road, we are going to do our own GameGuru MAX weapons, as I said, using the new hand and weapon system. So keep an eye out for that later in 2022. Third question from KC Productions. Can we import a custom FBX character? Please show us a tutorial or a guide. It will be amazing if we can do that. You can do that. You can create a character. You can export it as an FBX. Then you can use GameGuru MAX to import your FBX, complete with geometry, textures, all the different textures, animations. You can then change the offset, the rotations, the scales, the properties of what the object needs to do, and then drop it into GameGuru MAX and you have your character. Won't be as good as a character that's created using the character creator, because we can go that extra step and infuse it with all the stuff that we also want Max to do, like lip syncing and being the right size and having the right physical proportions to move around the world effortlessly and seamlessly. When you're creating your own character and then importing it, you're going to have to adopt something of a technical artist persona in order to solve those last bits and bobs so it works and it's fully compatible with GameGuru MAX. But we are providing a guide. We're going to write, with the help of our third-party artists, a guide which tells you, if you've never done it before, how to create a character, get into GameGuru MAX, make it compatible, and have your character running around doing the same kinds of things that you see our characters doing. So I'm looking at the clock. Yes, I have started late. I think it was 5 minutes in. So technically, even though the clock says 25 minutes in, it's only really 20 minutes. So I'll pick 2 more questions to answer verbally, and then the rest I will answer in the GameGuru forums. And as always, I'm only going to pick questions from people who ain't asked me a question yet. And the first lucky pick is, I'm sorry I cannot pronounce that name, Heiki Senos. At least I had a go. Will there be mechanics of transport driving? There's no driving in the March early access version of GameGuru MAX. No vehicles, no motorbikes, no horses, no gliders, no blimps, no nothing. If you want to get anywhere in the world, you got to walk or run, or you have a transporter pad, so you can just materialize somewhere else in the level. Those are the forms of transport in the March version of GameGuru. absolutely down the road, we are going to want to do all manners of faster than walk transportation, starting with cars and jeeps, and of course going outward from there. But for the March version, no. Second and final question of the day. Looking for a question mark? No question marks. I'm sorry if you did do a question, but you didn't put a question mark in. I just do a skim. And the person I find is Old Gummer. Will we be able to create a system that allows us to gather, inventory, and craft items? Not for the March Early Access version, because we're focusing on the shooter genre. But immediately on the heels of that is the RPG genre, where you will find gathering of ingredients, inventory systems to catalogue and store all of your items that you find, and combining those items to craft new items, and of course all the other things that you find in a typical RPG game. So that's not for March, but it's right hot on the heels of all the game mechanics for shooter. And then after that, or perhaps even closer than after that, is the puzzle genre. So think of things like lifts and other mechanisms like put things in the right order, or turn 8 dials before the door opens, and things like that. And it's always about the mechanics. Art's takes a lot of effort and time. But it's the game mechanics that really spell out the genres that you create. So we're focused on the shooter because it's all about AI and what the enemies do, what the allies do, and weapons and things like that. RPG, it's more about storytelling and collecting things and building your character over the course of 20, 30, 40 hours of gameplay. And puzzle, it's the sort of the lateral thinking, the cerebral level of gameplay. That doesn't really need a story, it just needs a doozy of a puzzle to solve. So those are the 3 genres we're going to be targeting this year. And hopefully you can mix them up and create your own kind of game, which might have elements of multiple genres. So thanks for all your questions. I absolutely will go through this again. I'll cut and paste it to one side and I'll answer them all in the forums, so you can check them out there. I will be back next Wednesday at 4 p.m. GMT to reveal more of what we've been doing. Perhaps some more AI, but I think I'm going to show you some different sections, perhaps originating from some other of our team members who've been busy in the background and maybe want to ask me to show off something that they've been doing, instead of just showing things that I've done all the time. So I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I certainly did, and I'll speak to you all next Wednesday. So until then, I shall say goodbye.